until we start, I'll be letting people in, but until we start, I'm going to go ahead and mute myself. So if you've entered since I first spoke, we will be starting in about 10 minutes. I am recording this today if you have someone who needs it. Hopefully my recording will work and will not be ridiculously large. So you'll want to email the ESFRLP applications at nchfa.com email to request a copy of the recording. I'm going to go back on mute. Okay, so we have, excuse me, we have about 5 minutes before we begin. I have already started the recording for those few of you who have recently joined us. I am going to try to have a recording available. I will have about 15 minutes of dead silence with my occasional interjections in at the beginning, but we are recording in an effort to provide that to you if it works out. Sometimes we don't know till we finish. You would email ESFRLP applications at nchfa.com to request a copy of that recording. I'm going to go back on mute. We will begin in about 4 minutes. It looks like most of the people who are registered, there's about 10 more people maybe that we might, and certainly people can even register in the middle if they'd like to. If you have a colleague who suddenly walks in and wants to attend, they're welcome to jump on and register and immediately connect. That's perfectly fine. They just won't hear the front end. And we'll see you in about 4 minutes. Okay. Hopefully my video is coming on. Hey, how are you guys today? It's great to see a bunch of names that on our little list here that I haven't seen for a while. So it's great to see all of you in attendance. And then some of you I've seen recently. So really good to see you. I'm a little under the weather. Mike is going to do most of the talking, certainly at the beginning. I'm about ready to give it over to him. When I hear from him, Mike.
Sure.
Ah,
Hello. Hello, everybody. Hello, friends. Yeah, and ditto what Don is saying. It's great to see so many friendly names on our list, and there's a few names that I haven't seen before. So, welcome old friends and welcome new friends to your essential single-family rehabilitation loan pool application guidelines for the 2027 cycle. Did you want to change presenters to me, or did you just want to scroll through, Donna? You can scroll through if you want.
I think I gave you presentation.
You sure did. The question is, can you see my screen? That would be a no.
I can.
Oh, you can? So everybody
Yes.
can.
Yes.
Great. Oh, lovely. All right. So again, welcome everybody to your Essential Single Family Rehab 2027 application guidelines. I'm going to walk through the application guidelines, spend a little bit of time, again, just walking through them, picking out the highlights. This is in, please also make sure you read the guidelines. There's only about 10 pages. It's some critical stuff in here, but again, so we have our cover. And Donna, let me know if I'm going too fast on any of this stuff. We have our wonderful table of contents here. Again, telling you where things are in the 10 pages. But just briefly, so we go through the introduction. Again, this is the Essential Single Family Rehab 2027 cycle. We're going to be serving, or you're going to be serving 34 county service areas. They are listed there. There are a few changes. We will go into those changes on the next page. Just 3 got cycled out. If for those of those existing partners of ours, it's same. Families are less than 80% median family income. Special needs are all the same. If you're new to us, someone in the house has to be elderly, disabled, or a veteran, or a child under the age of 6 experiencing lead hazards. The objectives have stayed the same. Again, and they're all listed there. We're trying to spread the money far and wide. If you are new to us, just remember we have 34 counties coming online for the 2027 cycle. Then there'll be another 33 county services coming online for the 28, and another 33 coming on in the 29 cycle. And these cycles basically run about 2.5 years. The biggest thing, and Don and I will say this a number of times, why we're calling it the 2027 cycle is because essentially by December 31st of 2027, your funds should be spent. That's the bottom line. You should have all of your money spent in the loan pool by December 31st, 2027. And we're still at $10 million hard and soft costs and $1 million admin, so it's an $11 million loan pool. And again, if I'm going too fast, shoot me a question. We're happy to slow down and go over stuff. On the background part, we've been doing this for a while. We've been doing this about 31 years. So we've been around a while. Many of you have been, we've been working with you for all 30 of those 3 decades. I know I've been here for about a quarter of a century, which is a little scary. But anyway, but let's talk about the specific changes to this cycle. Again, we're renaming the cycles. This is funding, and the funding is starting in 2025, but we're calling it the 2027 because we want to highlight that all funds must be spent by December 31st of 2027. We did move a couple counties around. We brought in Avery, Transylvania, Wilkes, and moved a few out, moved Durham and Robesons and Stokes to some other cycles. That being, we just wanted to encourage better service to all the counties, and we had some requests from some partners that we could make happen. So we did that. But again, within this 3-year cycle, there's about 5 to 7 counties that always get missed, and we were trying to do our level-headed best to serve the entire state of North Carolina. Big news. We are increasing the amounts of assistance. Hard costs is going from $40,000 to $70,000 for these next 3 cycles. Soft costs are being increased from $10,000 to $14,000, and admin costs are being increased from $4,000 to $7,000. So that's huge. So there'll be increased unit costs. We are going to do an initial funding agreement with our partners for $182,000. There's basically no set aside period. We're eliminating that. The idea is once you allocate the 182, you ask for more money in the loan pool and you get going. On the loan servicing side, these are still secured, deferred forgiven loans held by the agency, but we're going to be increasing the forgiveness rate to $14,000 a year because we want these loans to basically last for no more than 5 years. Again, goals stay the same. Funding is going to be very similar to what you guys are used to. It's an $11 million loan pool each cycle. So for the 27's 11, 28's going to be 11, 29's going to be 11. Right, 10 million hard and soft and 1 million admin. First come, first served basis. Service areas are still the same. Basically, you're serving your county service area, excluding the large 5 entitlement cities. The essential single property standard is still in place. And again, for those of you that are existing partners, you know that standard very well by now. For those of you that are brand new, you can always go on our website and go to an old program guidelines. Sorry about that. Program guidelines. Donna can help me with this, but they're basically, and you can review the essential single family property standards. But that's the idea, is you're basically doing essential, necessary, critically needed repairs. You're not doing cosmetic stuff. Soft costs are the same categories as last year's and the few years before that. We still have some folks that are misunderstanding that many years ago it was project construction management soft costs. Well, now it's just construction management. So these soft costs are construction management related to specifically to delivering that unit. Your admin funds are what you're basically charging your project management to, because we have admin funds now. So you have the soft costs, and those are granted to the homeowners, and then we have admin costs. Admin costs, again, those general management, oversight, coordination, travel, mileage, the project monitoring, those indirect costs, basically admin that is funded by federal funds. The big difference that we are going to try to do for this cycle, one of our team members recommended that we allow up to 50% of the admin funds on the unit be drawn down at loan closing, so you can get access to those admin funds sooner than waiting till the unit actually completely closes and everything's settled in the system. So we are going to attempt to do that. The team agreed. We sat down. We said, yep, that sounds like a great idea. So we're going to do our level-headed best to do that. Well, we said we're going to do it. We are going to do it. Is the system set up to do that? No, we're working on it right now. So basically what right now, so for the next upcoming cycles, we're 27, 28, 29, our system will eventually, when you close a loan for the 27 cycle, and we got a little bit of time to work on that to get that happening in the portal, what will happen is that admin bucket will fill up to 50% of that, of your eligible admin costs for that unit, and you can start drawing it down for eligible admin items. And again, the admin's going up from basically it was 4,000 to a maximum of 7,000. You know, again, not to exceed 10% of the hard and soft cost of that unit. Again, let me know if I'm going too fast. Sometimes I've been doing this for a quarter of a century, and I often talk like I'm talking to folks that have been doing this from day one. So if you haven't been doing this from day one and you're confused about anything, just either put a question in, we could slow down, or we could answer any questions.
Mike,
yes, ma'am.
This section 3.2 schedule, this might be a good section to go really slow on.
Yes, ma'am.
Some of the dates are changing a lot.
I will slow it down. Okay, so the applications are due on Friday, April the 4th at 5 p.m. We hold these application deadlines very seriously. So you're going to want to submit those applications with the $75 check. We will cover that. We're going to get to that. That's towards the end of this this guidelines. But as far as the schedule of how the projects are going to go, oftentimes existing partners understand that when you're submitting an application to us, all you're just submitting to us is what we're doing what we need to rate and rank the application, which is basically your capacity. After you are approved by our board, then we'd ask for post-approval documents. And then we have to review all those. That would be your procurement policy, disbursement policy, assistance policies, whatnot, and all the other documents we need to review prior to signing a funding agreement. So that's what this is talking about. So written funding agreements will be executed beginning of July 1st, 2025, if possible. The pads, we would like the pads all to be approved no later than January 1st, 2026, because we want you up and running as fast as humanly possible. The biggest drill down here, that members are eligible to reserve additional funds on a unit by unit, first come, first served basis from the remaining pool of funds. You will have 2 years. So no later than December 31st, 2027 to complete and close out all the units. We want all the loans must be closed and executed by June 30th of 2027. So to Donna's point, what we're highlighting here is essentially what we did for those that very experienced partners is we cut off 6 months from you. So instead of this 3-year cycle, we've cut down to basically 2.5 months. You might be able to get rolling prior to January 1st, 2026 if you get your pad in, get it approved, and everything's in your rock and rolling, which is great. We would love for you to do that. But in order to focus on getting all these units completed in a timely fashion, we want the loans closed for this cycle by June 30th of 2027. So all the units can actually be completed by December 31st, 2027. Did I hit that hard enough?
You got most of it. I want to say one thing that you didn't say. Okay. Any awarded project that has yet to deliver all your post-approval documentation by January 2nd of 2026 is subject to cancellation without notice. In other words, yes, if we're not getting your pad in, we might just rescind your award. So you need to listen to us about getting your pad in. Sorry.
Yeah, and it shouldn't take long. Again, for most of you that are very experienced partners, we're talking about modifying assistance policies you already have, procurement policies, disbursement policies that already have been approved. And for those of you that are going to be new to us, again, our job is to help you be wildly successful. So whatever we can do to help you to get through that process, we certainly will. We will coach you on the importance of the procurement disbursement policy specific to this program, and also the assistance policy. But again, we can certainly help walk you through that process. Absolutely wonderful team that could do that. Eligibility requirements. We basically don't fund for-profits. So if you're a nonprofit, unit of government, regional council, community action agency, you are eligible to receive funds. We just don't fund for-profit organizations. Remember that if you want to serve multiple counties, you're going to have to put an application in for each county service area. For new individuals that aren't used to dealing with federal funds, one of the biggest heartaches here is that with the eligible households, you're dealing with families. These are all owner-occupied units with families that are less than 80% median family income. It's a hard rule. You cannot go past the 80% county median incomes. And again, remember, somebody in the house is going to be elderly, somebody in the house is going to be or disabled, or a veteran, or there's a child under the age of 6 that's experiencing lead hazards. Eligible activities. You are doing repair program. This is a repair program. You're not doing a replacement. This is single family owner occupied rehab. We are using federal funds, so therefore we're going to have to meet all the requirements that that HUD has, the requirements for the essential single property standard, which we have in there. The other part of this, which kind of trips some folks up, is lead. So not only do we have to meet 24 CFR Part 35, because these are HUD, these are home funded from HUD, but we also have to meet the North Carolina renovation, repair, and painting regulations. Sometimes that trips folks up, but again, we have an absolutely wonderful team, and we can walk you through that. And it doesn't mean that you have to be certified to do those things, but your contractors that you're hiring have to be RRMP certified if it's a pre-78 home, not if it's post-78. Eligible forms of assistance. There is a change here from last year. Basically, the change is we're going to be forgiving loans at a rate of $14,000 per year. It's a big change, but beyond that, it's all the same. These loans are going to be in the North Carolina Housing Finance Agency's name, and we will be servicing them. So again, if you're unaware, there's a process that if you're a loan pool member, you set up the unit in the system. We would prepare the loan documents, and we send the loan documents to you for closing, but then they come back to us, and we service those loans. Application review and ranking and selection process. This basically describes the process of how we're going to rate and rank these applications. What we're looking for is capacity, simply put. We want to make sure that you're an eligible entity. So again, as long as you're not a for-profit organization, you're a city, you're a unit of government or a nonprofit agency, and you have talented staff that can actually do this work. One of the biggest pieces of that application are the men and women that are boots in the ground, that are doing the scopes of work, overseeing the work, driving those work write-ups and monitoring the units. I've said this often, and I'll continue to say it. If you take that resume of that rehab specialist home and to your significant other, and you ask them, would you hire them to build mama's house? And the answer is no. You don't have a chance of being funded with us. I mean, again, you need talented staff that knows construction, because that's what we're looking at. The men and women that are boots on the ground, that are overseeing this work. But again, we're going to take these applications. We're going to rate and rank them. What we've done in the past is, and we're considering doing again, is funding multiple partners to serve a service area within the essential single family rehab. We haven't seen an issue with that yet. To date, no one group. So if we funded 40 partners to serve a 34, 33 county service area, none of you have expended any of the money. I mean, or expended all the money. So right now it is a undersubscribed program, if you will. I think Donna, correct me if I'm wrong, but the most we spent in any one cycle was a little over $7 million. At this point, we are allowing overlapping, I mean, 2 partners to serve the same part, if it makes sense. Again, if it doesn't, if it's like if you're not going to be pinched, if you can actually do it.
Yeah, we want you to spend all 10 million. Dang it.
Amen. Amen. In the right way. And we're going to take them to our board. We're looking at taking it to the board in June, if I'm not mistaken.
That's correct. Yes, June.
Yeah, thank you.
The other type of thing that's important is the the webinar for how to operate the program, and that would be in the implementation webinar will be in August. So.
Okay, sounds like a plan. Sounds great. Special instructions. Please really read the special instructions on this back. This is where we get into the fine nitty of the application itself. And Donna's going to actually, she's going to walk you through the application. But ESFRLP applications at NCHFA.com. Remember, that's where you're going to submit it. If you're going to submit it electronically, it must be received on Friday, April the 4th by 5 p.m. You are going to be mailing a check for $75. We do not have a portal system to take checks at this point. So you're going to be either hand delivering the check or mailing the check in by that date. And the special instructions, and this is where we really get tight here. So please remember, if you are going to hand deliver it, use the Excel spreadsheet, walk you through it, type it in, use the form as it's provided. Don't go crazy with the attachments. If we say we don't want more than 1 page, 8.5 by 11, don't give us 2 pages. Follow the instructions. If you were on the other side of the desk and you're reading all these, you'd have a greater appreciation for why these instructions are the way that they are. If you are going to hand deliver them, don't put them in 3-ring binders, covers. Don't spend, just again, fasten the upper left-hand corner. Attachments should be clearly marked in the upper right-hand corner according to the instructions. So if for example, Donna's going to go over resumes, and if they say we want 3C in the upper right-hand corner, make sure they're there. It helps us when we go through multiple applications to be able to know what we're looking at. If you are going to electronically submit them, which you certainly can, you would submit it by that day, by April 4th, by 5 p.m. You would send it to the email address, ESFRLP27 at NCHFA.com. And again, in your app, in the header, say application for ESFRLP27 funding and the county in your name. It helps us organize all this information, rate and rank it, and get it back to you guys in a timely fashion. But those are the 10-page application guidelines. It's not, for those of you that are used to this, there's nothing really radically different about this. The biggest things are, I know, I apologize, I'm scrolling fast, but here, these changes, which are on, I guess, page 4, us renaming the cycle, us moving those counties in, and Donna may reiterate some of this too. The changes, the hard costs up to $70,000, soft costs up to $14,000, and admin up to $7,000, increasing the loan forgiveness rate. But the biggest challenge that we have right now, and we'll be working with our IT folks, is to allow for the upcoming cycles 27, 28, and 29 for you to have access to half of your potential admin money at loan closing, which should help. Again, what we're really trying to do is get you all excited about closing loans and moving on to that next house. So yeah, that's what I had. Is there anything else? There's something I missed, Donna.
No, but I actually want to show, if you'll give me the presentation back, I think you still have it.
I will.
I want to demo or show them something of mine.
I have clicked change presenter, and I chose you. Did it?
No, I think.
Oh, there's a button I was supposed to say yes to. There was another button. Now it's doing it. There you go.
Did we get this?
Yes,
so
you have it.
This is a technical assist that I wrote for how the cycles of ESFR work. And I'm showing you this because inside this shows the counties and how they were moved around. And you can see how how the counties are all the same, with the exception of Avery, Transylvania, and Wilkes, and Durham, Robeson, and Stokes. So those 6 counties have a news cycle time spot. And I just think sometimes it's visually nice to see that sort of thing versus. So if you want that technical assist, I can certainly, and you're new to this in particular, I can email ESFR applications and at nchfa.com, and you can.
Oh, and that's very helpful, and also shows like the path forward for the next couple cycles. So
exactly.
you can see where we're going.
We have a lot of partners that do more than one cycle, so I thought they might be interested in that. So the other thing that I'm going to get to the application in just a second. I think I wanted to show the website, though. That's what I wanted to do. So this is the web.
Thank you.
I'm actually going to start here.
Okay.
And I'm doing this because everybody here in our group, we all say nchfa.com, right? Yeah. You're all used to that. But if you go to our main website now, you'll notice it said housingbillsnc.com. Yep. This is not a scam. You haven't been moved to the wrong place. You're at the right place. We just now, that's sort of focused for consumers and sort of with our goals. So just want you to know that and not be scared of it, because I've had some people ask me that question. Sure. And then I wanted to show you how to navigate to our main page for ESFR, or as a side note, that's for Sarah. Anyway, so you go to Home Ownership Partners and you come down here to Community Partners and you click on that. And then when you get here, you'll get Community Programs and you'll click on that. And then all our programs will show up, so you can see ESFR and Urgent Repair Program are right there. We're obviously interested in ESFR today. And here is the notice. Just in case you got into this webinar some other way, I wanted you to see where you can go to be able to get the forms and guidelines that we're all talking about. So the other thing I want you to be aware of, on this page, there is this nice little button, and this is for when consumers or yourselves need to go look up, well, who's the partner here and who's the partner there? You can go here and also to see how your information from your application is going to show up on the website. This is where it shows up. So when you give us your email of your executive director and you say that's the person who's going to get all the contact from our website, this is where it goes. So maybe you don't want to put your executive director in that slot. We'll get to that on the application in a minute. But this is where you want to actually provide us information for the person who will be taking those calls from interested homeowners or potential clients of the program. So I just wanted to sort of go through the different features there. This also can take you to the same location. You can get there 2 different ways. So,
but you want to show them the forms and resources, right?
Oh yes, and that's where we that is where the bulk of all kinds of information on ESFR from many, many, many cycles, if you're new to the program, exists. So you can see we put down here training information with even some technical assistant topics, some guidance on how to do 4-factor analysis. We have portal tutorials. So our portals are a really big thing in ESFR for the new people, and for the old people, you already know this. And then we have lots of model documents, because these are documents that do not have to be created in ESFR, or you don't have to use required documents from us. You can create your own. But then we do have some required ones where you must use our format, you must use our document, and those are located right here. You should always be using new documents that you download from this page. And you can see much of the information in these documents will be the same for ESFR27. You notice how we skipped 25 and 26. They will never exist. And so, but this is where you're going to get your application guidelines that Mike just went through. So I'm going to go ahead and start the application now. I just kind of wanted to give you an overview. And I have this application that I hate looking at myself, move myself to the side. I have this application that I sort of filled in, and I'm going to go back and forth between this one and the one that is on the website. And I'll tell you why, because we did make some changes after I filled this in that were an upgrade. And so if the form is not quite working for you in the right way, then you need to let us know at ESFRLP applications at NCHFA.com. Okay, so you're obviously going to need to go through here and put down your applicant information, particularly about your overall organization. You're going to want to make sure you have this UEI number, and we have, you notice here, a little description of what a UEI number is, just in case you've been in the woods for quite some time and don't realize that we've now got rid of the DUNS number, and we're now using this UEI number. So, and that's due to federal requirements. And this is, just as a refresher, this is all federal money, so that's why we have some of the rules that we have. Now, here's one of the sort of quirky things that we changed on the final application. If I put an extension number in here, the way it is in this version, it's not going to show up, right? You're going to have to reduce it or something like that. But we did go back and fix that so that in your application, you should be able to put in a number, and I'm just going to make up a number and then put an extension. So it should automatically make it small. Now you're going to need to put in the dots, because Microsoft Word doesn't have something that will let you put an extension and also turn it into a phone number. So put in dots or dashes, whatever you feel like putting in, to sort of make it look a little bit more like a phone number. But you can see that it will do that. And we really do like to have those extension numbers, especially for those organizations that have a lot of people and like to send us to a long tree to listen to lots of different people's information. It's really helpful to have those extensions. So as someone who has to call them, I appreciate it when you fix that. So that's going to be the case for anywhere you see the word extension on here. I'm going to go back to my original input. And one of the things I want to really highlight here is under section, well, let me get up, just go in order. Let's start in section B. This is your chief administrative official. This person is going to be the same person who signs the document. You will notice that if you go back here, you'll see that Crystal Light shows up as the person on the final page who needs to sign this. So whoever you put in this chief administrative official location, they need to be the same person who's going to sign the actual funding application. Then there's all kinds of different things you can do with section C. It could be that there's somebody in a different department in your organization, or there's just a different person who's going to be the admin person. It could be the person who is your consultant. You've hired a consultant to be your rehab specialist, and there might be doing some other portions of the work. It could be, in other words, a for-profit person in this section C. In section D, it could also be one of those people, your consultant or another person, but it should be someone who understands the application, who probably filled the application out and got everybody else to sign it and gathered the information. So that's who should show up in the first part of section D. But when you get down here to phone number, where it says number 5, D5, for use on NCHFA website, that's that number right there. That's what's going to show up on our website that I showed you just a minute ago. And this is searchable, all across the World Wide Web. So just remember that when you give us this number, and we need one, we must have one for people to call. And we also need an email right here. These are actually 2 pieces of the application that are very critical, because we need to have that information to put up on the web. So don't leave these blank. I actually added this note about it being required because I have lots of partners who tend to skip over these 2 particular, maybe even the whole section D. And we really need you to fill section D out. We didn't put it in there for a non-reason. Now, I'm going to go back to the application that you actually have up on the website, because we changed a little bit of the nomenclature on that drop-down list. This used to say, I think, other public agency, and now it just says public agency. So these are the 4 choices that you will have in the 6 choices you will have in the drop-down menu for the type of applicant that you are. And if you have questions and feel like you're 2 of them, just pick the one that's most appropriate for your organization. So yeah, I think you can probably see here where it used to say other public agency. Then here the rubber meets the road. We go down here, and these are the counties. So you're going to pick the county that you want to serve in the particular application that you're filling out. And notice you can only pick out 1 county, and that is by design. If you want to do a second county, you'll have to do a second application, just as Mike recently shared with you. We are putting in here as a base 2 units. So you can certainly have a goal of a larger amount of units, but we really only require that you start out with 2 and at a minimum. So we'd like to, most of our partners, it makes sense for them to say 2 and do more. We always like to see you meet your goals if possible. Doesn't mean that you can't declare more if you want to. And I'm going to need to make this a little bigger. So this is page 2 of the application. And notice how I'm navigating down here on the tabs. So you page 1, it should come up from the website on page 1, and then you will go down here. And if you're going to have a volunteer, any type of volunteer matching that you're planning to do, then you're going to want to declare it here at this point. And you can or should attach some type of documentation for that and label it Exhibit 2B. And see if I can, here we go. So I have a lot of documents down here in my ready to be open. So notice how there is a label in the upper right corner that says Exhibit 2B. And then you've gone down here, you have some kind of letterhead for your organization. And you're going to then say, excuse me, all the things you're going to do. And you're going to sign off on that. It could be that this is from the same person who shows up as your project is signing the application, but it could also be someone else from your organization who's in the structure, certainly in the leadership structure. It needs to be someone who has fiduciary responsibility and has the ability to actually commit those funds. So that's Exhibit 2B that is requested here. Then we go down into the project budget soft costs, and you'll notice you can't change this. We have put what we think is a appropriate base budget. We have increased significantly a couple of line items based on historical knowledge that we've been getting from actual requests online in our ESFR 22-24 projects. So we, and probably some of them you will go, well, construction management hasn't gone up a lot. And the reason that it hasn't is because one of the things that we note is that when you don't do something else up here, you usually throw it into construction management. Mike, did you want to say something?
Yeah, sure. The other thing is I was going to say is the other reason why we're also not letting you change this at this point is because you can give us your recommended schedule during the post-approval document phase.
Absolutely.
So we're just giving you what we think is a good estimate of how to spend your $14,000. But if you have other notions of how you want to break up that $14,000, you'll have that opportunity after you get awarded and you're completing the post-approval documents.
Yes.
And then you also get the chance to move it around unit by unit. So.
Yes, right. Absolutely. Thank you, Mike. That's very important because, you know, depending on where you are in the state, your asbestos testing, your radon testing, your lead-based paint testing, all of that might have different rates depending on how close you are or not to a provider, because you might have to pay significant travel if you're in certain areas. So we understand that that is going to change, but we've given you a base budget. We used to let people try to figure them out at this point, and we kind of realized it might be too early. So when we get down to applicant capacity, we have another exhibit that we prefer that you fill out, and that's going to be starting on page 3. But if for some reason you don't want to use page 3 of the application, which is basically this, let me make it a little bigger. Ooh, too big. Which is basically this. If you don't want to, you can also use Exhibit 3A. And I have an example of that. Where did you go? Here you are. I moved these all over, but they moved themselves back. Thank you, Microsoft Word. All right, so this is an example. Notice up in the upper right-hand corner. And we all know you have great stories and lots of information. You're doing tons of things, but we don't want more than a page. If you give us more than a page, I think Mike gets annoyed. Am I right, Mike? And so we want a page for you to basically, well, we probably all get annoyed, especially me and Mike, because we're the ones who do most of the review. So seriously though, we want to know what you do around rehab, and you can do that in a page. We need to understand your basic information here. In this case, you're fairly new. That's why you don't have a lot of projects to tell us about. Okay, we get that. Tell us what you plan to do, how you're organized. Tell us a little bit about your people and how they're going to function inside the program. And this is, this is basically tell us a few little projects that maybe are not finished, and count on your resumes, which can be as long as you would like them to be. Count count on your resumes to tell the story. We want to know the people who are actually going to be in charge and responsible for these projects and what they know about residential rehabilitation and intake and those types of topics, which are the activities you'll actually be performing. So that's if you can't do this. This is our preferred method because then we are actually comparing apples to apples. We see what partner A, partner B, partner C, partner D, partner E, F, probably close to around 40 to 50 applications that we receive annually. So then we'll be able to actually compare them a little better if you fill in this matrix. And I did not fill in all of these, but we have, let me see if I can make this a little smaller. On page 3, we have 3 projects you can put in. Then we have a supplemental where you have another 3 projects you can fill in. And if you are one of those overachievers, you can copy this page ad infinitum till you cover all the projects you have done. And let me add all the projects you have done since July 1st, 2019. Let me make this just a little bigger so you can read it. So we're looking at funding cycles after July that started after July of 2019. We know that you probably, especially if you've been around a long time, you've gotten all kinds of projects before then, but what we're interested in are the last 5 years. What have you done for me lately? That's what we want to know. So that is the basic matrix. This is another critical piece. Did you want to say something, Mike?
Yeah, if you can go back to those page 3.
Absolutely.
So just highlight the reasoning for this. So what we're looking for here is not only your experience with government-funded owner-occupied rehab with all these different programs, we're also looking at what you have going on right now, what's on your plate, what's left to be delivered. So for example, you'll see completed units and uncompleted units. And I believe I'm speaking for the team here, for all of us. Please, for the love of all that's good in this world, make sure that these are up to date. Don't just go in and pull what you did from last cycle and put it forward, because again, we use these numbers to kind of see what are you working on right now, not only what your experience is, but also what's outstanding, and also please make sure you double check. Especially as one of our programs, that what you're giving us is accurate, because if it's not, you might get scored down as part of an incomplete application, because we know, I mean, we can compare, we can go to in our system, we can see where you're at, but then there's some stuff that we're blind to. So for example, where we're going to trust you, especially like on the urgent repair program, if you're telling us where you're at, because oftentimes our data is about a quarter off of where you are. But just again, please go back and be as accurate and honest as possible with all of your current projects. That's all. Thank you.
Oh, I just noticed that we have a couple of questions. Let's see if any of them are relevant to. So Lori says she's not able to enter the new pages to enter the past read. So you need more than 6, Lori?
Yeah. I know what we did, like with the urgent repair program, is we unsecured that one tab and we let them copy and paste it. We can make that change to the website.
Yeah, so if that's an issue, I can go ahead and try to get that uploaded again. Let me just write a quick note. I forget. Well, I'll get it off of these notes. Thank you.
We can.
Yeah, sorry about that. I probably secured it because I probably just shut it all down. Sorry. Okay.
Yeah, we can unsecure page 3, the
Yes.
supplemental.
Yeah, we would only unsecure page 3 supplemental. That's correct.
Yeah.
Okay.
Is
So,
the copy sheet active? Yeah, so that's the same question that Nita had, Laura. Okay. Eligible activities. Would raising a house out of the flood zone be an eligible expense? No. Again, you're not doing elevation. These aren't elevation projects. But what we have had is we've had partners that have um, braided the essential single family rehab with the CDBG funds, and you certainly can do that. CDBG funds can be used for elevation. And we've seen that a lot. We've seen some partners that have leveraged the essential single family rehab with the CDBG funds.
I
Go
was
ahead.
going to say, actually, this is a good opportunity to say that ESFR, one of the nice things about ESFR is that you can use almost any other kind of funding with it.
Yeah.
Can you think of a kind of funding you can't use with it, Mike? Only thing I can think of is
No.
ERP adjacent. And ERP would have to be at least 6 months on either side of it. But even
Yeah,
ERP
well,
can be used. We
because
don't like it always, but if you need to use ERP to keep a unit ready for ESFR 6 months down the road, that's fine. If a sudden problem comes up afterwards, certainly talk with us about it, and we can see if ERP can be used that way. But I think that's the only real limitation in the type of money you could use with.
Yeah, because the heart of the question is we want to spend federal funds first, and so we want to use ERPA's funding of last resort. So if they're eligible for the essential single family rehab and you can spend the ESFRLP funds on them, great. But if you need to spend urgent repair funds to basically get them through the winter and then come back and address it with essential single family rehab, we can certainly work with you on that. But ESFRLP can be leveraged with everything out there almost. Other federal funds. The only concern that some folks have is, and I share that concern, is that whenever you leverage multiple funds together, you're going to move as slow as the slowest horse. But if that's what's needed, and I can think all the way back to Floyd recovery, where essential single family rehab was leveraged with CDBG and CDBG DR. So we've been doing that for a while, but it can be leveraged with other funds.
It's usually the other funds that don't allow you to use our funds, as opposed to us allowing you to use other funds.
Yeah. Wow. Okay, we got some more questions now. Do you want me to just go through the questions now?
Let me try to get through the.
Okay.
I
last
was
page?
focusing on those because of the because they were pertinent. So, okay. So staff qualifications. One of the things I really want you to take a look at is, please do not put multiple personnels in a program role. What the point of this section is to get the person, to find out who the name of the person is who is responsible for that particular program role. And I mean responsible. You may very well have 5 people, awesome, working on that program activity, but there's got to be one of those 5 people who is the responsible party. That's the person we want in this file or in this section. And so we have lots of different program roles that I think it's 9. Yes, 9 program roles that are here. And you're going to need their title and their email. Make sure you keep a copy of this for if you have personnel changes, because you'll have to submit those to us. That is because their names are being made part of the funding agreement by you putting them here in this application. So if you change those people later, then you have to essentially send in a project request to change your funding agreement. If, by the way, you are in an organization that plans to act as a general contractor, if you're new, we do not recommend this, by the way, but if you've been with us a while and you have that capacity, or you believe you have that capacity inside your organization, then you must go ahead and fill out these sections, or we will assume or we will act as if you are not going to be the general contractor on your projects. I don't know if you want to chime in here, Mike, but we've had some people who will fill out the upper part and then come back later and say they want to act as a general contractor. And we're like, well, we don't know who your supervisor or your foreman is. We're basically redoing your funding agreement.
Well, yeah, and they can put in a request for a change, but we'll go through that. If you do get funded, and you do want to change that, again, you can go through a project change request, and we can help walk you through that. The issue really comes down to is the procurement, and once we bless your procurement policy, and let's say your procurement policy said you're going to bid everything out, and then you want to change it, you're gonna have to go through another open, honest, transparent process of how you're going to get that thing done. Again, we're using federal funds, so we want to make sure that we're procuring all items properly. And the other side of it, we just want to make sure there isn't any conflicts of interest.
Yeah.
But we can walk you through that.
It's good to try to make that decision as best you can at this point during the application process. If you can't, then we might end up making it during the post-approval documentation period, and that might mean that'll take a little longer because we'll relook at how things work. Awesome. Enterprise is calling me about my car, probably. All right. So, all right. So on to the final page.
You want to know where it is?
Yeah. Well, I'm getting one next.
I'm kidding. I don't want to.
So, yeah, I'm not traveling this week because I had this. So
they're just calling to check on you.
Yeah, probably because of the weather. I don't know. So this is really just the signature page. It is really important that this person, again, be the person on the first page. And it should also be attested. We sometimes have people submit our applications and they don't attest this. And, you know, the attester can be anybody. They're just someone saying, yep, that's a person who signed this. Notice how you have to deliver these. We actually maybe I'm different from Mike, but I personally prefer that you email your application versus hand delivering 2 copies, which is what is required if you hand deliver. If you send it via ESFRLP applications at nchfa.com, then you can just send 1 copy, and you know, you just need to follow the special instructions that he showed you inside the guidelines. If the check, however, will have to be mailed, but some people mail that early before they've even filled out their application. That's okay. We know those are different. Here's just more information about that. I think we do have some questions. I'm not going to go through this any further. I'm not going to save it either. So I will definitely try to work on that page 3 supplemental today and get that to our communications people by the end of the day. So we can try to get that application up there so you can copy that page.
But if you are working on it and you don't download the new version after we fix it, you can always enter the information on page 3, save it as something else, enter a page 7, save it as something else, enter some of that, and then you can, I mean, there's other ways of doing it, but we can certainly make that change so it's like
I think that's what we've told people before, is just to go ahead and make a PDF of that page after you've entered it. But we can, if there's a way to make it a little easier for you, that's okay. We're good about that too.
Yeah, amen.
What were these other questions then, Mike?
Sure. So let's see. We answered that one. Is it okay to include local funded rehab amongst the NCHFA experience to show capacity? Yes, we want all of your experience, whether it's experience with our program or experience with other programs, as long as it's related to single family owner occupied rehab. Definitely put it in there. You can list your weatherization programs. You can list your local funds rehab, CDBG, local home programs, all that jazz. Certainly, without a doubt, or private funds. I mean, all that. The can you do that again? We'll need more. Yes, that was about the page 3. Can you use other home funds, like if they're from a consortium? That's great question. The answer to that is yes, you can. For us, we do allow it, and also HUD allows it. The problem is that sometimes other local home consortiums don't allow it in their own rules, or sometimes if you're trying to leverage CDBG funds, sometimes the state that runs the program has some concerns over that. We don't mind leveraging other CDBG and other home funds because, again, we're going to see all of that in the portal dollar for, but remember, every time that you leverage another funding source, whether it's local, state, or federal, you got also abide by those programs. And there are some partners that sometimes try to leveraging other federal funds, but they've already signed a tighter contract saying that they weren't going to leverage other funds. So you got to remember, every time you put in another layer of funding, you got to play by the strictest of rules of those.
Let me try to answer the next question. It's a really long one, and I sat here and read it.
Okay.
So, this particular question, if you are targeting more units because you're going to try to keep below 40,000 and you're not going to use licensed general contractors, number one, just say if you're spending more than 40,000 per unit, you definitely need to use general contractors, licensed general contractors. That is a state requirement. So, but if you're under 40,000, you can use people who are acting as general contractors but may not have a general contractor license. That's a slight distinction, but it is technically possible. I would probably still, when you're doing the application, just act as if you're only going to do 2 units. You can certainly have a personal goal that you have written down to do the larger number of units. I just don't think it's going to translate. I don't think there's a need for you to have to figure that particular wrinkle out at the application stage, is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, and also let me kind of hit this from a different angle. The question is regarding the $182,000 funding agreement. Again, our job here is to be open, honest, and transparent. If you get awarded funding, you're going to sign a funding agreement for $182,000. Why are you signing a funding agreement for $182,000? Because we're using federal funds, and you have to sign a contract. We have to have a dollar amount, we have to have 2 names, and we have to have a date, right? And that references the program guidelines. But you're joining a pool of funds, which all of you, so let's say if we funded 40 organizations are going to have access to $10 million hard and soft and $1 million of admin. So you're going to have access to $11 million. That $182,000 means absolutely nothing. All it is a it's just, we have to have a dollar amount for a contract. We are a very, very, very round peg in a very square hole. If we were doing this the traditional way that HUD would want us to do, we would enter into a fixed rate dollar amount with you, and you would never ever exceed that number for the project. You would be held to it. The reason why the pool program works is that if you're serving the town of Greene County and you're serving the county of, well, I'm gonna make up one. So let's say you're serving the county of McGillicuddy and you're serving the county of Coocab, right? And the McGillicuddy County doesn't use any of their dollars. Well, over time, the county of Coocab, serving that area, they can use the dollars from at some point in time. Please, for the love of all that's good in this world, don't get stuck on the 180. Don't get stuck on the dollar amount of that funding agreement, and don't get stuck on that 2 units. We want you to do as many units as possible, but it has to be an open, honest, transparent, fair play. So basically, we're entering into this funding agreement of 182, and as you exceed north of that 182 in the portal, there's basically a funding agreement modification that gets, once the other unit gets approved, it gets sent, hey, your award was 182, it's now 2 something, it's now 2x, 2 or whatnot. And it keeps getting kicked up. So correct me if I'm wrong, Donna, but I think the record that we put into any one county is about $1.6, $1.7 million.
Yeah, that happened not this past cycle, but the cycle before, I believe, was the first time
so
we got that high.
And the only reason why that county service area was able to do that much is because a bunch of other people didn't use their funds. Now, again, could all of you do 1 point? Probably not, because there's only $11 million. But
there are 34 counties, so yeah, we don't have that.
But the expectation should be, and again, and if I was your executive directors, I would be wanting you to at least try to do 5 or 6 units within any county service area, because once you get to that 5th and 6th unit, you're basically paying staff salary running this, right? It gets to a place where it's really operational. So please don't limit yourself to 2 units. Don't limit yourself to 182,000. Just know that that's the starting place, and we say you start. But again, if you want to deliver 3 or 4 units under that 182,000, God bless you. I mean, but again, we want you to get north of 182, and we want the system to kick you that funding agreement modification once you have that next unit in, and we want you to help as many people as possible. We want to help you to succeed in this.
So there's one thing that I think also is like you should aspire to have to submit a section 3. Is it section 3? Oh my Lord. Report at the end of this. So that that means you've spent over 200,000. That means that you've helped more than 2 units, most likely.
That's a good way of putting this. Yeah, that's the other reason why we're not signing a funding agreement greater than $200,000, because we're not forcing everybody.
That's the point. The reason we pick 182 is because it's less than 200,000, and if you do only do 1 or 2 units, then you don't have to submit a section 3 reporting. But if you do over 2 units and you spend, a large amount of money on them, then you are going to have to submit the section 2. You should section aspire. 3. I'm sorry, section 3, and you should aspire to do that from the beginning and go ahead and understand what section 3 reporting is. Once we hope that everyone here on the call gets awarded. And then we will, and then you've got it set up and you won't be quite so mystified by section 3 at the end of your project.
But let me just add, we're not going to be doing section 3 reporting for the contractors, we're just doing section 3 reporting on your soft costs and admin that you receive. We're not going to be doing section 3 reporting on contractors, because none of these contracts are going to exceed $100,000.
Yep. So just remember all that. Someone said they couldn't see that long question that was posed and that we just spent all this time talking about. Just to let you know, I thought it would be more confusing to read that question than to just talk about it.
Oh, I think she's saying she can't see the questions at all, but maybe you can't because you're not an organizer. Up above on the dash
the only people who can see them are organizers. It's just you and me, Mike.
Yep.
But usually we're reading them.
Yeah, and then the next one was something about, this is why we need to have strategic plan work when it comes to leveraging funds. Well, whenever you're leveraging funds, you need to think through them, how you're going to leverage funds, why you're going to leverage those funds. But again, ultimately, if you are going to be leveraging funds with the Essential Single Family Rehab, please reach out to your case manager. Again, we have a wonderful team here of rehabilitation officers. So, from Donna, Chuck, Dan, Sarah, and they can walk you through those complexities. But honestly, I mean, we typically have not had an issue with leveraging essential single family rehabs with other federal and state funds, except for our urgent repair program. But we also do leverage the essential single family rehab with weatherization. We do that quite a lot. Trying to think anything else to do with leveraging.
You can even do it with DPP.
And you can also do it with CDBG, and you can do it with other home funds. It's just every time, and there may be some partners out west that may want to do this with CDBG DR. But note that now that we're going up to $70,000 with this, you may not need to leverage other funds. And if you're doing CDBG-DR with their, once those programs get rolling, you may not want to leverage anything else with them due to the complexity of CDBG-DR funds.
Yeah.
Again, however we can help you guys be successful.
Okay. So I think we have been through everything. What time? Oh God, we did all that in an hour, Mike. Nice.
Wow.
Just a little over an hour. Are there any more questions that we can answer? This is definitely the time to do that.
Yeah. Thoughts, concerns, complaints, anything.
We're real excited with this new number. The 70,000. The part of the genesis of it was that we noticed that CDBG had they stopped doing rehab funds at 72,000. And so that's kind of why we looked, okay, so that makes sense for us to be kind of in line with the other home programs as far as rehab goes. And so that's one of the reasons we did it, or considered the number. So
we've also had a lot of requests for increases. Cost of construction's gone up.
Absolutely.
We've heard from many of you, we're having a hard time finding contractors because of the dollar amounts of the contracts. So do you have to do a $70,000 rehab? No. I mean, can you do a $35,000, $40,000 rehab? Yes, without a doubt.
If that's all you need, that's all you need.
But the room's there to hit the essential property standard. The other items are our humble suggestions of things that you should do is still in the guidelines. There's some things that we really, really value. We just don't make requirements, but we strongly suggest that you do if you have room to do them. Those are still in the guidelines.
Yeah, we have the suggested projects, and they're often around durability, accessibility, energy efficiency. I'm trying to remember there are 5 sections. Those are 3 of them. So we really like those types of projects, and we'll hope that you will, if you have extra money, you'll pull things from this list, and you don't even have to talk to us about it.
And again, before we get off the phone, just want to humbly thank all of you for all of your wonderful work. And also know that, I mean, yes, we've been doing this for a little while, but we're on at least twice a day. And there's some things in the program that, you guys might see and say, hey, we need this changed. Donna's done a great job of having this waiver request in there. I mean, a lot of the changes that we have made over the programs have come from those waiver requests. If we start getting waiver requests for the same item we take a good hard look at it and say, well, why? Is this something that we misunderstood, or is this something that could help the program get better? And so when we made tweaks to the essential property standard, a lot of that has come from that. But we're hoping that this change of the name of the program can help focus on when all the funds need to be spent by. We're hoping that the paying 50% of the admin at loan closing, or it's be available to you, helps motivate you to get to the loan closing. And we're hoping that once you see all of this, if you have existing 23s and 24s, and God bless you, 22s, you will get off of them. You will close your 21s, close your 22s, and get on to the next cycle. Again, soft cost has been kicked up to 14,000. Admin's been kicked up to a maximum of 7,000. And I think I really do. I share Donna's excitement about the increase to 70,000 should help give you a lot of flexibility. So with that, you want to close it out, Donna?
One last question, and I'm not sure what it means, but I will say it. What was the website to receive the notes off of? I think what they mean is, how can you send us a question about the webinar, or a question about if you want to try to get the recording, or if you want to ask for things. I have highlighted it right here, ESFRLP applications at nchfa.com. So that's where you can, I'm guessing you can still see my screen, correct, Mike?
I can, yep.
Okay,
great job.
And So just want to make sure that any questions, go to that website. There are several people monitoring, not website, that email address. There are several people monitoring that email address so that if I don't get it, Mike doesn't get it, somebody else might get it. So we just want to thank you, and we look forward to receiving all your applications. Yes, that's the voice recording. You could ask for the voice recording to that email correctly right there. On is almost ready. Okay, somebody's giving us information. Yes, this is the email. Everybody's getting it. Thank you so much. Just jump off when you're ready. We're basically finished.
Again, thank you all very much. We're very excited working with you all again. If we've worked with you, if we haven't worked with you before, and all of this just was incredibly confusing, give us a call. And we're happy to have a conversation with you and walk you through the program. Again, we are a very, very round peg in a very, very square hole. But yeah, you're applying for access to $11 million to help your neighbors over the next 2.5 years in these areas. All right, we look forward to working with you, and thank you so much.
Thank you. And yes, if you want to get the technical assist on how the cycles work, you can also ask for it at ESFRLP applications at NCHFA.com. So thank you guys.
Yep.
Good luck. I will try to fix that application with that page 3 by the end of the day, hoping.
All right. Thank you. Thank you all. All right. Bye, everybody. Great job.
Yeah, I think that went fine. So I'm trying to figure out how to stop the recording. I think I stopped showing this.